Monday,
Best day of the week.
the best day of the week. It's a Money Monday. It's a Money
We
Monday
back at it again
with Nong Wealth.
signing in.
Hope you really liked our content from last week. If you did not check it out, please go back and check it out.
Today we'll be discussing MSI. Is
What
it a bird?
Is it a plane?
It's MSI.
Oh yeah. Stay tuned and find out what MSI is. So it's a Monday, a Money Monday.
And we're speaking about
MSI, right? This is Lebu.
And this is Nell.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you're asking yourself by this time, what are these guys referring to when they're saying MSI the whole time?
Would MSI make me rich? Well, that's up to you. Before we start talking about MSI, I'd firstly like to read the stats to you, right? This stat says, according to Mail and Garden article about the widening gap between the rich and the poor in the country, two-thirds, right? That's two-thirds of South Africa's wealth is held by the top 1%.
What?
And about 90% is held by the top 10%.
No ways. That's a mind-blowing stat.
This is because of the MSI.
I'm sure you guys are asking yourself, what are these people referring to when they say MSI? Well, to start with the definition, the word stands for multiple sources of income. The word is self-explanatory. We're speaking about how one will acquire multiple sources of income. And while we're still on mind-blowing stats, I'd like to bring the stat up. The average millionaire, right?
Yeah?
Has 7 multiple sources of income.
Yeah?
So now what does that mean? That simply means that we shouldn't be relaxed on one multiple source of income. We should actually be striving and running for multiple sources of income if we do want to be included in that stat. Leo, do you want to be part of that stat?
Oh yeah, definitely I do want. So now, say for instance, I'm employed, right?
Yeah.
And I really like the job that I'm in.
Okay.
Am I able to have multiple sources of income?
Yes. There's no restriction. There's no cap. There's no cap rate to how many sources of income one can get. But what we would do is that we do thorough research before committing into a particular multiple source of income.
Okay. Okay. So now, how do you actually implement multiple sources of income within your life, right? How do you do that?
What are the steps?
Right? So the first thing that you have to do is to get a job. Not really a job, but something that actually brings in income for you, right?
Can we say a source, the first source of income?
The first source of income.
So the first source of income, it could be through a job.
Yeah.
Or it could be through entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So now this would be you actually getting money to actually store it up in order for you to actually be able to invest in something to get that multiple sources of income.
Okay. Yeah, so in that approach, it seems as if like you are taking money and you have an end goal in mind and you're working towards that goal. For instance, that goal could be our end goal in mind was property. So while we're still working, we knew that we're saving this amount, we're actually building our credit score so that at the end of the day we achieve this particular goal, which is property.
That's true. That's true. So now what you have to do is that once you actually get a job that actually pays you well, right? The aim is not to actually blow all that money up, right? It's to take that money and store it, right? You take that money and store it in sources of income, right? Not rather sources of income, in a storage, right? So now after storing that money, you actually use that money to actually invest to get multiple sources of income, right? So now would you prefer a multiple source of income that comes in weekly, daily, monthly, or yearly?
It's totally up to you. I mean, man, I think it also depends on the strategy that you want, man. Because some people would actually, but I think no, man, it actually goes without saying you would prefer any model, because maybe one can be short term and the other one can be long term.
My preference would be a one that comes in monthly, right? Because now the daily and the weekly, I don't think it would be actually for the long run, right? I would think that a monthly source of income would be actually sustainable for me, right? So now, for example, a rental property, right? It would give in money monthly. And I know that once I've actually stored that money, right? My money is still safe, but now I still have a monthly income that comes in every month. So now why would you actually go about doing multiple sources of income?
The reason why I'd go into the approach of using multiple sources of income, it will be, everybody knows that saying of we shouldn't put all our eggs in one basket. So through multiple sources of income, we actually spreading out our eggs into different nests. And now the reason why this is so important is because let's say I invested into transport firstly, and then now I can see, let's say that's my first source of income. And then my second one is property. And then my third one can be in a food shop, in a food store. So now I know if things are going bad in the transport, I know I can still rely and I can still survive on the other two. So in that way, they kind of balance each other. But now it's very important that we don't get too excited about this term of multiple sources of income. And then we take all our money, we invest in everything that's out there. We need to do thorough research. Secondly, we need to understand the markets. And thirdly, we need to first master one source of income. For instance, let's say you are in the transport industry. You need to know everything about it, the logistics, the numbers, and every shortfall there is to it. And once you know everything and you set proper systems, that's what we were speaking about last week, proper systems that can actually run, and then you can move on to the next one. Because at the end of the day, you do not want to have something like 10 multiple sources of income. However, they're all not properly managed.
Oh yeah. So now it goes back to having research or doing research on the types of income and how they actually work, right?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So now what do you think are the benefits of having multiple sources of income?
The benefits of having multiple sources of income, as we said with the first one, it can run through cash flow. If it's more sustainable, for instance, with your property rentals, you know that with this property, I'm paying insurance, and I can say if it's in a good location, I'm sorted. I will be sorted. And then the second one, it should be that I'm laying my legs in different baskets. So in that way, there's that layer of safety. I know that if one fails, I can still rely on the other ones.
Okay.
And the third one is that there's no cap, there's no ceiling towards the maximum sources of income that one can get. You can get to 100, you can get to 200, you can get to 300. Nobody will tell you that it ends here. The bus ends here. So that means the MSI for me is a bus that never stops.
It doesn't stop, right? So now, in terms of me thinking about the positives of multiple sources of income, is that I don't have to worry, right? My family and I would be set, right? What does this mean? Because I love property so much, right? If I have a rental property, right, and have a management company which will actually manage the property that I had invested in, right, I'd have that sense of security, right? Even if I get retrenched at my job, I'll still have something to actually go back to. That's why I think that's the most important part of multiple sources of income. It allows you to actually relax. And when you're doing the job that you like, you actually have to do the job that you like, that you are willing to wake up to, and you're not actually forced to go to the job every day.
Is that all, or do you still have another one?
Yeah, that's
okay.
all.
No. For you, okay, I have another one also. While you're still on safety, I'm already planning for my retirement. So when I get to 65, I'd like to relax. I'd like to know that my family is sorted with groceries, with rentals. So now what I have to do, using MSI, I can actually work out my monthly budget, and then I'll see that I need 20K for survival every month. And now I know that I need to invest in a source of income that will actually bring in 20K monthly. So in that way, we're building generational wealth.
So now for right now, I think that we're still building on our retirement, right?
Yeah.
But by the time we get to 65, we would be building for our next generation.
Of course,
right?
of course.
Oh yeah,
Of course.
it's all about that generational wealth, getting your generations to actually be relaxed and do what they want, not because they're forced, but because they like it.
And one of the cons, what about the cons of MSI there? Do you have any shortfalls of it?
I mean, it could be harsh to you if you do not actually research properly and actually invest all of your money, right? A lot of people are distressed. They buy franchises, right, without doing the proper research, right, and end up depressed. It's tough out there. It's tough out there, right? If you do not have the proper research and have also a mentor, right, who can also show you the steps around multiple sources of income, how to actually work around them and set your multiple sources of income. So now, what I think it's best for me to do is that to actually go out, right, search for a mentor, and that person would actually guide me on how to actually set up my multiple sources of income before I actually go in.
True. And while we're still on mentor, we can also highlight the importance of a power team, because now you're going into an unknown territory. And once you get into an unknown territory, the last thing that you'd want to do is making a big mistake whereby you invested a whole lot of money. So if you don't do MSI the correct way, it could become a financial burden that can ultimately infringe your health. So we do not want to be in that space. So let's make sure that we know what we're doing. We do thorough research, we get a power team, and we're well equipped when going into MSI.
And we get that 7 sources of income that we talked about.
We definitely go in there, man.
It was lovely having you guys. Hope you like the content that we just produced for you.
And I'm 100% sure that everybody knows what MSI is now.
MSI.
Multiple sources of income. Sound of that sounds so sweet.
Oh yeah.
That the power of MSI has. I mean, highlighting and emphasizing that the average millionaire has 7.
Did you say
A
7?
minimum of 7 sources of income. What we do need to do is ask ourselves 2 questions. Namely, the first one is, where am I at this point in time in life? Number 2 is, do I want to become a millionaire or a billionaire? If I do want to, I know that MSI is one of the routes to take.
Okay, so now remember, what we do is that we store all of the money that we have right now.
Yeah.
We make proper research. After having proper research, we pull the trigger, right? We actually go in. We go all in. Don't get caught up by paralysis by analysis. Noel, please do share, like,
And subscribe. Comment
below.
We want to see the comments about it.
Comment below.